Hey everyone, in front of us we have the Century Arms VSKA Trooper Special Edition AKM pattern rifle. If you don't know what VSKA stands for, it stands for Vermont Stamped Kalashnikov. If you couldn't tell, it was an AK pattern rifle, which we have in front of us. Now, one of my close friends purchased this about a year ago, and over that course of time, I've gotten to shoot it quite a few times, and I really enjoy it. And I think if you're in the market for a modern AK rifle, this is definitely a way to go. Although, as you can see, we have the factory furniture for the Trooper sitting here beside it, which my friend has replaced, I think, well, somewhat intelligently with a new front handguard, a new buttstock, and a new muzzle brake. Now I'll get to why I say somewhat here in a minute. Overall, the build quality on these VSKAs is really impressive. Now there are a couple other companies nowadays that make American-made AKs that have excellent build quality, but a lot of times when you think Century and AK, you think Wasser 10, and I'm gonna say right now, the build quality on a lot of those is not great. Even my ASE 10, which is what would be a higher end at the time, Century AK, had a lot of flaws. It had a lot of work I had to do to make it run all the time, and even now it still has some reliability issues. But with this VSKA, no reliability issues, all the parts look high quality, and we'll kind of take a look at that here in a minute when we pop it open. But before we do that, let's go over some of the features that it has. It does have a rack 1 trigger, which one of the first things I had to change on my AES-10 was the trigger, because it had such bad trigger slap. You'd get about a 30 round magazine through it and you would maybe have a numb finger if you're lucky or a sore finger if you're unlucky. So the fact that they just right from the factory go with a better trigger pack is good. It has your enhanced safety where you can lock the bolt back with it. So that's a nice feature. Has the dimpled magazine well, which I don't know. I do think it is nice, and it does help to stiffen the receiver some and help to hold the magazine in place. But the fact that it has it, I don't know if that's really a big draw or if it really makes it that much better. My ASE 10 does not have that, and I've never really had a big problem with magazines being wobbly. So better, yes. How much better? Debatable. But generally something you look for in a quality AKM pattern rifle. One of the features that the Trooper has that the regular VSKA does not is it uses this front, more of a pistol front sight on the gas block, opposed to having it out here at the end of the muzzle like your standard AK would. And it originally came with a birdcage flag suppressor opposed to this Midwest Industries muzzle brake that my buddy had put on this, as well as this Midwest Industries front handguard and this Magpul stock. Now I really like the Magpul stock. I really like the Midwest Industries front handguard, although if it were me, I would probably have replaced the synthetic factory ones with something maybe a little more economical, but that's me. Now when it comes down to the muzzle brake, I'm not a fan of the Midwest Industries muzzle brake necessarily, but I don't have a lot of room to talk because it reminds me a lot of the Mini Y Comp that's on the end of my Bushmaster, in that it puts a bit of sideways muzzle blast out, which as the shooter you don't really mind, but when you're standing beside the shooter, it's not quite so pleasant. And I think really the biggest thing that he did was putting this Magpul stock on it. This triangular Circle 10, it's a Circle 10 AK triangular metal stock. They're supposed to be nice, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't care for it. I didn't care for it when it had it on it, and when he switched it out to this, I really liked it. Although I do find the adjustability on this Magpul to be a little stiff. Maybe over time it will get less stiff, but don't necessarily care for that. And at its shortest, it's about the same length as the clubfoot stock on the RPK. So it's a little bit longer than what you'd expect from a like an M4 style telescoping stock. But it does, with a solid push of the button. Solid push of the button, there we go. Fold to the side, doesn't interfere with anything. So that's nice, that's a nice feature. Since we have it up in the air here, let's go ahead and pull the top cover off and get a look inside it. Now if you look, you can see that it, instead of having a wire spring like your standard, like Wasser 10 would have, it has an actual solid metal spring. Let's go ahead and pull the bolt out. Take a look at that. That'll help if we put the safety down. Now I've not cleaned this, but now if you look at this bolt, the machining on it is much nicer than what you would ever see on the Wasser 10s. Show you that here in a moment, comparing it to the ASE 10 bolt. All of this looks just really nice, really nice. Set that down. Let's go ahead and grab the bolt out of our ASE 10. Thwarted by the safety again. Now if you look, as you can see, this is just not machined nearly as nicely as that is. When you compare them, you can see all these lines, all these machining lines. Just, this is a much higher quality bolt. Go ahead and grab the bolt head out. You can look. I mean, it's functional. It's definitely functional. But the machining, just the quality of this piece is much higher than what you see from older Century AKs. So part of why I wanted to make this video is so that people didn't think, oh, well, it's another Century AK. I know what to expect from them. No, this is a, well, let's get it put back together. But it is a high quality AK. And if you didn't know, I was talking about the wire wrap spring. That's what I was talking about. Oh, and by the way, I replaced the factory trigger on the ASE 10B with a Tapco G2 trigger. They're great. Really wish they still made them. But I don't believe they do. Gonna get this all put back together. Nice things about an AK, they are very simple to put back together. I say that, and I will probably do something silly here. And put the right recoil spring in there. Although I will say this dust cover is a little stiff, but it is a new, I don't want to say new rifle. He's had it for over a year, so it's not exactly new. Now, I did not care for the fit and finish. I kind of wish I could have done a video before he changed this out, because the fit and finish on the front handguards on this were poor. I would say poor. But this Midwest Industries one is really nice. I would kind of expect that for how much they cost. It's very solid. You could actually even mount an optic on this gas tube cover, which you couldn't really do. You don't, I won't say you couldn't really do, but there are a lot of front handguards made for AKs that do not actually securely mount this Picatinny rail they have here, so it's got a lot of movement, but this does not. This is solid. This is very nice. Now, another feature that it has that I almost forgot to mention, the enhanced magazine release. That's nice. I find it to be slightly easier than the standard AK, but not, I mean, I've not changed it out on mine. Just to let you see what it says there, Midwest Industries. Oh, and it does have an 800 meter rear sight, opposed to say the 1000 meter. It's on our other AK over there. So better look at that muzzle brake. And like I said, this isn't a bad muzzle brake. It's a little annoying when you're beside it. So overall, if you're in the market for a modern AK made by an American company, well, made in America, I definitely think the VSKA is a good way to go. The Trooper is no longer available from Century. They don't list it on their website, but I have seen it at different retailers. I believe I saw it at Sportsman's Warehouse in the synthetic configuration, and Bear Creek Arsenal had it in a wood configuration. Oh, one more thing. Don't go away quite yet. It comes with the US Palm AK magazine, which fits just fine. I've also used it with Tapco synthetic magazine. Also fits just fine. I've used it with, I believe this is a Romanian AK steel magazine. Works just fine. And this Polish synthetic magazine also works just fine. A little wobbly though. It's wobblier than that in the ASE 10, and it still works. And it even works with our goofy drum magazine that is awful. This is awful. This drum magazine doesn't work very well. If you want higher than 30 rounds in AK, buy a 40 round stick magazine. They're way better. So, like I said, overall, I think that this is a great buy if you're in the market for an AK. The enhanced safety is nice, but in all reality, I don't really find that it is helpful for much. If you've watched the short video where I'm shooting it, it is kind of cool that you can pull it back, lock the slide, and then just drop it. That's pretty cool, but that's about it. And now, when you have it closed, it's gonna let dirt inside the action. So maybe not quite as cool as what I thought it was at first. Anyway, thanks for watching. Again, if you're in the market for this, they're available. I wouldn't necessarily want to pay MSRP for it, but usually you don't ever pay MSRP for them anyway, unless it's really desirable. So around $700–800. Definitely think this is worth it. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Okay, now that we have our Century Arms VSKA Trooper back out here at the range, we'll go ahead and get some better shooting than what the short showed. I'm really impressed with how well this shoots, especially given this extremely short sight radius.